Okay, so one of the major projects for this course is the Teacher Leader Evidence Project, or School Leader Evidence Project. This project is a requirement of the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction for teacher licensure candidates to demonstrate leadership. And so we've designed this as a common assignment across every section of EDUC 440. And so because this is the common assignment and sort of the major assignment for this class, you will be putting this assignment up onto TaskStream, which is the portfolio that I mentioned earlier in the semester. And I will certainly come back and discuss TaskStream more if you are still unsure as to how to access it and use it. But first, I would like to just talk about the project itself so you have some familiarity with it and you know what to expect. So there is a tab in Blackboard called Teacher Leader Evidence Project Week 4, and I'm going to click on that. And you'll see in this tab that there's a lot of different materials here that are helpful for your project. The instructions and rubric are here, another rubric in a portrait mode, which might be easier to read. Sample projects that give you some basis of what you're sort of creating here for your classes. School improvement plan examples, leadership project checklists to make sure your project meets all the requirements, and then TaskStream information. So if you're still trying to access TaskStream, you can find it this way. So let me briefly just go through everything first, and then I'll come back to the instructions and rubric. So sample leadership projects have a couple of different papers in different areas that you can look at if you want to. I would just say this, make the paper your own. Don't feel like you have to craft it just the way you see in these samples. Some people really like a model to go by, but I don't want it to become a crutch where you feel like it has to look exactly like this paper that you're seeing. Really, what I'm more interested in is that you adhere to the guidelines and you respond to each of the sections thoroughly. So just sort of be mindful of that. I really want you to write your own paper. You don't have to design it exactly the way these look. Okay, and then there's some school improvement plan examples. So many of you guys are in a school teaching currently and might have access to your own school improvement plan within that school. Some of you guys do not have access to a school improvement plan. And if so, I wanted to give you guys links to different counties around the state that had publicly available school improvement plans. So if you cannot access a school improvement plan through your own school, then you can always use one of these. And I would just recommend finding a plan that is for a school that might be similar to the one you're currently working in, or a school similar to one that you plan to work in. And that way you can find something similar to what you're interested in. So here's the Guilford County School Improvement Plan list. And as you can see, all of the schools are listed. So we can go down to Kaiser Middle. This is actually the school where I taught my very first year of teaching, was Kaiser Middle. And their school improvement plan is right here. So you get an idea of what to expect. And each school improvement plan might look a little bit different and have different goals, but if you start looking through them, you'll see that there's a lot of similarities between the plans, similar language. Okay, so we're going to go past this. So that's what you can find in this folder. That's simply a resource if you need it, if you're having trouble finding a school improvement plan. You can also, if you have access to your own school improvement plan, I would recommend, if you have an option to do that this week, is to try to discuss the school improvement plan for a few minutes with your administrator, your assistant principal, or a member of the school improvement plan team. That discussion will help you potentially know a little bit more about how they are implementing, what strategies they're using in the school to implement the plan. Okay, and so there's also a helpful checklist, which is, again, just a resource for you, but it will have basically all of the sections broken down so that you know you can go back through it after you've written your paper and make sure that you've got everything you need. Okay, so kind of working backwards here, I'm going to now go to the actual instructions and rubric. All right, so here it comes, eventually. All right, so this project is a project that is developed by faculty at ECU and is common to all of the courses. And as you can see, it responds to Standard 1, which is teachers demonstrate leadership in the classroom and the school. So you're going to be thinking about what makes an effective teacher leader. You're going to think about what identify critical characteristics of a school improvement plan, and then talk about as a leader, how could you use strategies and data to address areas of need that should be addressed in a school improvement plan. So in this project, it will be both individual and collaborative, and I'll explain the collaborative piece in a moment. So part one, it has two parts to this project. Part one is to talk about two educational leaders that you've known or observed. These can be teachers, or they could be administrators or some other person in the school who has leadership qualities. For each, you want to come up with at least 3 behaviors and 3 traits that make them leaders, and then think about what outcomes make them leaders. So if you feel like they're really organized, then discuss how being organized affects outcomes in their classroom. The next thing you want to do is identify 3 traits of your own that you believe will assist you in becoming an effective leader, and identify traits and behaviors you believe are important for good educational leadership that you either need to strengthen or do not currently possess. So you could spend some time talking about what is it about your leadership that you would like to strengthen. So that is part 1, and it is 1/3 of the project grade. Part 2 is 2/3 of the project grade. And in this part, you're going to look at the most recent school improvement plan for a school in which you're placed, or in our case, a different institution if you're not able to access a school improvement plan. And you're going to look at 2 improvement goals, just 2, and whose progress could help you influence you if you were a teacher at the school. Then, what action steps are the school taking toward each goal? And this could be difficult if you are using a school that you don't have a relationship with. So, I guess one way to achieve that goal is to read. There should be some strategies within the school improvement plan that might help you see what steps they're taking. And I suppose if worse came to worse, you could contact the school and try to see if you could contact an administrator to discuss this with you. And if none of that works, then you can write down strategies that you believe they should take towards each goal. That could be another way of handling this step. And then finally, what kind of data are being used? So if you know what kind of data they're using to measure progress towards the goal, or what kind of data would need to be collected if they're not currently using data. Or again, if you find yourself in a situation where you don't know what the data is, you could discuss what kind of data they would need to assess progress. So this data could be, if it's getting school attendance rates up, then attendance data would obviously be an important data point to look at. But there could be a lot of other ways of assessing progress. It doesn't have to be numerical data. It could be, interview data. It could be, just all kinds of data, observational data. So feel free to be creative with thinking about what kind of data would help you know if you're making progress. So then you would come up with a plan with how you would teach or could teach with an eye towards making progress towards these goals. So with these 2 identified goals, what can you do to aid the school to get toward that goal? What would you do in your own classroom, and what kind of data would you even use in your own classroom to look for progress? So try to support your ideas and cite your references. Again, we use APA in this class, and that's very important. The last piece of this is, because this is a project about leadership and collaboration, we're going to have partners. So our partners in this project for this section of this course is going to take place in our group discussion forums. And in those forums, you're going to have 3 different opportunities to post information about your project and receive feedback. And these opportunities are called chats. That's what we're calling them formally, but essentially they're just discussion forums where you're going to put progress points up. The first point is going to be about your proposal, or part 1. The second point is going to be part 2, and the third point is going to be a draft. So you should meet at least 3 times. So we have that in your discussion forums. We have 3 meetings. and then turn in a record of your chat. So all that means is you can create like a little addendum or appendix to your paper saying on June 9th, I shared my progress report and Dr. Lynn provided this feedback. That's all you have to do when you document your chats. So again, that could be an addendum or an appendix to your paper. So you would put each time that you posted something and the feedback you received. Okay, so those will constitute your 3 chats. So those are the steps. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I'll let you peruse the guidelines a little bit more on your own. But hopefully this will help you make a good start. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know because it's important for me to be able to provide you feedback as we go.